I don't know why this team does this to me. I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know why. Wow. I don't know why this team does this to me. But again, I'm very, very happy. I doubted this team. I really did. But look, man, we 2-1, should be 3-0. Should be 3-0. Should be really 3-0 though. But this team showed me something. This team showed me something. Let me start off this, John, by saying this. I'd like to apologize to this defense. Jaylen Carter showed why he should have been a number 1 overall pick. We just got lucky and he dropped to 6. Thank you, God. Jordan Davis had his first sack since week 7 of last year. He showed up. Let's talk about Zach Bond being everywhere. Let's talk about Reed Blankenship, his second interception of this year. Brandon Graham at 36 years old, still being effective and still showing why he's not just on a ceremonial run. He's a key contributor on this defense at his age. And he has shown game in, game out why he is still that guy. This defensive line flat out showed up from the start. What do you have to do against a Saints team that's dynamic? You have to stop the run. What did the defense do? They were able to contain the run early on. And then you saw a guy like Jaylen Carter pressure the quarterback, Josh Sweat pressure the quarterback, Jordan Davis get a sack, and you saw this whole defensive line continue to feast all game. To give up only 12 points to a Saints team that averaged like 40 plus points up to that point is insane. And the reason why I have to apologize is because I overreacted to the Eagles' defensive line struggles in those first 2 games. I don't feel like I apologize, but I do feel like the overreaction was warranted given how we looked at the end of last season. But what did this show? This showed the difference in having a competent defensive coordinator versus a non-competent defensive coordinator. I'll say this. Imagine if Matt Patricia was the defensive coordinator. The Saints would have dropped 50 on us. But we saw that Vic Fangio got in the lab and had an emphasis on stopping the run. The Eagles' defensive line set the edge, and they were magnificent. They were flat out magnificent, bro. They were. I got to give them their credit. And you talk about the box score right now. Let's talk about this, right? I know the Eagles only had 1 sack. I know they only had 1 sack to Jordan Davis. But you're talking about Jaylen Carter has 2 pressures. I think he had multiple pressures, actually. But we're going to go more into like the pressures and all that tomorrow once all the advanced stats come out. Jaylen Carter, quarterback hit. Josh Sweat, quarterback hit. They were everywhere today. They were flat out everywhere. Zach Bond, 9 solo tackles. Zach Bond is having a career year, and he needs his props. I'll give Howie Roseman this credit. He saw a star in Zach Bond. He is showing up today. He showed up. Again, Quinyon Mitchell, there was times that he was getting picked apart, but when we needed him to defend Rashid Shaheed, he went ahead and did that. He played good. Darius Slay. What did Darius Slay say? He was like, Philly, I owe y'all one. What happened? They went ahead and, he went ahead and took care of business. And let me say this too. The Saints are a dirty football team. They are so dirty. First of all, on the Devontae Smith, John, he was already down. He's going backwards. It's 2 guys on him. Main cuz flies in, hits him in the back of his head, and now my man in concussion protocol. That's a dirty hit. Then we have, was it Trevor Penning that drives Darius Slay out of bounds, way out of bounds, unnecessary, and then they get that penalty. Thank you. But the Saints are dirty as hell, and they tried to hurt all of our key players, and we still won. We still won. So look at y'all. Look at y'all. Look at y'all. The Eagles had injuries all over the place. Whether it was A.J. Brown being out, whether it was Devontae Smith being out, whether it was Lane Johnson being out. And let me say this, Fred Johnson, he needs his props because this guy filled in the role of Lane Johnson. And we all know how important Lane Johnson has been to the success of this Eagles team and to the success of Jalen Hurts. The Eagles are a far better team with Lane Johnson versus without him. Fred Johnson unexpectedly came in, took the big shoes of Lane Johnson and showed up. He had that one penalty false start, but he played a near flawless game, and he needs to get his credit for showing up. And for the most part, this Eagles offensive line protected Jalen Hurts all day for real, for the most part. I mean, I can't say enough about this offensive line. Let's talk about the offensive struggles. I want to start this off on a high note. But we know if Dallas Goedert doesn't, go for that, before I get to the negative, Dallas Goedert. What did I say about Dallas Goedert? He is a top 7 tight end in this game. That might have been an understatement. He might be a top 5 tight end in this game. And I thought that it was malpractice that you have Dallas Goedert on your squad, especially without A.J. Brown, and you don't use him in the passing game against the Atlanta Falcons. And so what happens? You're forced now to really, really use Dallas Goedert, and we're seeing this guy with one-hand catches, a clutch drive, a clutch catch, and yard after catch to get us in first and goal and get us in position to score a touchdown, win the game. Dallas Goedert needs his flowers. Dallas Goedert is the reason, alongside Saquon Barkley, who I will get to, that is the reason why we won this game. I think outside of the turnovers, Jalen Hurts played a very good game. We're going to talk about the turnovers, all that stuff, because, yes, Hurts did not play his best game at all, and I'm not going to defend it. But this Eagles offense, I get so frustrated sometimes with the offense because although A.J. Brown is out, this is a very, very talented offense. That's why I said before the Falcons game, the Eagles don't need A.J. Brown to beat the Falcons. I stand by that. And they beat the Saints without A.J. Brown. So I believe the Eagles still have enough weapons without A.J. Brown to make an impact and to get yards and to put points on the board. I mean, hell, if Nick Sirianni, who we're going to talk about a little bit later, took some field goals when we needed them, we're talking about 19 points. That's what we're talking about. The offense did not have a problem this game. They started off slow, and it's kind of weird. Like these first 3 games, our first drive, were very sluggish offensively, and I don't like that. But the defense kept us in this game. So again, I want to shout out the defense. I'm about to get back to the offense, but I want to shout out the defense because the defense kept the Eagles in the game long enough for the offense to finally get it going. It was only a matter of time that you give Saquon Barkley the freaking ball. And let me give you this Saquon Barkley stat. Because in the first quarter, he had 0 rushing attempts. That's malpractice. I'm going to get on Kellen Moore a little bit later. Since he had 15 rushes for 143 yards. 9.5 yards a carry. That's insane. That's insane. Saquon Barkley finished the game with 17 carries, 147 yards, 8.6 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns, a touchdown for 65 yards. Saquon Barkley, he had his revenge game, I think. And I'm not talking about the Giants, but he lost the game against the Falcons, and he proved us that he will go ahead and win us a game, and that's what he did. That's why, yes, did Saquon fold against the Falcons? He did, but I had full confidence that he was going to come back and win us a game, and that's what he did alongside Dallas Goedert. But it first starts with that defense, and this defense has given me hope that if they can be middle of the pack, when A.J. Brown comes back, we have a top 5 offense. We have a middle of the pack defense. Now you're talking about a Super Bowl contender. Yes. So the defense showed me that they are capable of being elite. Now, I don't expect them to play like this week in, week out, but I can expect them to not be a bottom 5 defense. I can expect them to not be a bottom 10 defense. And I can expect them to be a middle of the pack defense. And I've said it before, I will say it again. If the Eagles defense is middle of the pack, top 15, top 16, I firmly believe the Eagles can get to a Super Bowl. They can. All right. Again, we gave credit to Dallas Goedert. We gave credit to Saquon Barkley. They showed up. Let's talk about the struggles offensively, because y'all do know if they lost this game, I would have been on here screaming, acting a fool, going at Nick Sirianni. I firmly believe win, lose, or draw, Nick Sirianni should be fired. Again, the Eagles have won games in spite of Nick Sirianni. Let me explain this. It's 4th and 1. It's 4th and 1. 13 seconds left in the first half. You get the ball back in the second half. Why are you going for it on 4th and 1? There's too much risk and not enough upside to go for it on 4th and 1 when you need some points on the board. It makes no sense. But Nick Sirianni is trying to prove to us that he's like Nick Campbell, that he's like Doug Peterson, that he always goes for it, that he's Mr. Consistent. Because what was the knock on Nick Sirianni last game was that he was inconsistent, because in the beginning of the game, in like our second drive of the game against the Falcons, he goes for it, but then he goes ahead and kicks a field goal at the end of our last drive after Saquon dropped the ball. So I feel like Nick Sirianni heard the chatter about him not being consistent on kicking field goals like what he did against the Falcons, and took that to heart, heard the noise, and overcompensated for that. You have to have situational awareness as a CEO head coach, which Nick Sirianni does not have. That's my biggest thing. If he doesn't call plays offensively, if he doesn't call plays defensively, and he is a liability as a decision maker when it comes to going for it on 4th down, why is he in the game? Why is he a coach? What does he do well? Can somebody explain that to me? What does Nick Sirianni do well? What does Nick Sirianni do well? MJ, Nick wants to prove that he is a coach who isn't scared, wants to show people that are wrong about him. That's the problem. That's exactly the problem. Why are you trying to prove to other people that you are this, fearless coach? You're really aggressive And by trying to prove stuff to other people, you lose all situational awareness. The Eagles should have been up 6-3 in the third quarter. Why are you going for it on 4th and 4 and we have no points on the board? What's wrong with you? It's like you're sabotaging the Eagles. You're sabotaging this team by trying to prove to everybody that you're this fearless coach. You're not Doug Peterson. You're not. Doug Peterson called plays. Doug Peterson was the mastermind of the Philly special. You're not him. You're not. I've been done with Nick, but I stand by win, lose, or draw, he should be fired because you have a head coach who is a liability. Let's talk about Kellen Moore. Again, I'm going to go back to the Saquon Barkley. I don't know what Saquon Barkley did to Kellen Moore to make him hate the guy. It's like he uses Saquon Barkley out of spite. Well, all right, y'all want me to use him so bad. Here you go. And then what happens? Every time you use the guy, he shows why we paid him the big bucks. There should be no reason that in a game, the Eagles don't give Saquon Barkley a rushing attempt in the first quarter. That is insanity. That is malpractice. I have only played Madden. I have no football coaching experience, but even I could tell you, you got to give Saquon Barkley the ball if you want to win a game. And so then what happened? I'll say it again. Saquon Barkley had 0 rushing attempts in the first quarter. Everybody is blowing me up. Y'all, we got to use Saquon Barkley. Anybody with a brain can tell you, use Saquon Barkley. What happens? After the first quarter, Saquon Barkley has 17 carries, 147 yards, 8.9 yards a carry, and has a 65-yard touchdown. That's why you paid the man, to use him. I don't know what Kellen Moore thinks. He thinks that Jalen Hurts is Lamar Jackson. He's not. He's not. And I'm a big Jalen Hurts fan. But if you're using Jalen Hurts in the beginning of the game as a runner more than Saquon Barkley, you should lose your job. You should flat out lose your job. It makes no sense to me. And then I feel like it took this game for y'all to finally use Dallas Goedert when we have been telling y'all who he is. Before A.J. Brown was in the picture, when he came during Hurts' second year as a starter, who was still there? Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert was always Jalen Hurts' security blanket. He was always his security blanket. So it's like, not only should Dallas Goedert be involved in the offense when A.J. Brown is present, but he should be even more of a focal point when A.J. Brown is out. Let's talk about Jalen Hurts. I'm not done yet. Jalen Hurts had one of his worst games, worst halves I have ever seen him play in a Philadelphia Eagles uniform. I got to be objective. I'm going to call it what it is. You got to stop staring down Devontae Smith and not going through your progressions. Dallas Goedert was wide open, but you're staring at Devontae Smith, and I'm not saying this is your fault at all, but I'm just saying you're staring down Devontae Smith. A couple plays later, you throw him the ball again, and Cuz gets whacked. When the whole John would have been done with if you gave Dallas Goedert a freebie. He was wide open. So yes, Jalen Hurts has to stop looking straight at Devontae Smith. Marshawn Lattimore is looking right at you, and he flat out picked it off because you're staring right at him. And I'm not going to blame Devontae Smith and say, well, he should have ran a better route. No, I got to be objective. I got to call it what it is. You can't just stare down, cuz. You can't. You can't. So, yes, before this game, did I think that Jalen Hurts' turnovers were concerning? No, I didn't. Now they are concerning. I got to keep it a bean. I got to keep it a stack. I got to keep it real. We made fun of Dak Prescott for what Jalen Hurts is doing turnover wise. We did. In 2022, 2023, Dak Prescott missed a bunch of games and he was still one of the league leaders in turnovers. Now, since 2023 has started, Jalen Hurts is leading the league in turnovers. We made fun of Dak Prescott. We made fun of Josh Allen for consistently turning over the ball. So we would be hypocrites if we would not look at Jalen Hurts and say, yo, you got to take care of the football. You got to. You have to. Because are the Saints a good team? I think they're a good team. Are they as highly rated as everyone probably thought before this Eagles game? No, they've come down to earth. But against a better and more elite team, they will make you pay for all these turnovers that you're giving the other team. And I'm going to clip this, but I appreciate all of y'all watching right now because we got to call it what it is. We have to call it what it is. I'm not giving up on Jalen Hurts. I'm not like these other fans that are overreacting and saying he's ass. This is Carson Wentz 2.0. We're not saying that because guess what? When he was without A.J. Brown, when he was without Devontae Smith, what did he do? He gave the ball to Dallas Goedert, marched up the field, and Saquon Barkley punched it in. Jalen Hurts had a game-winning drive when the odds were stacked against him, when he needed a touchdown drive. You have to give him credit, and that's what we'll do. But also, it was Jalen Hurts' play that was the reason why the offense wasn't doing anything in the first half. Dude, when you fumbled that ball because you were going left, Lane Johnson had a clear lane for you, no pun intended, if you went to your right side. And it's kind of confusing because it's like, Hurts, you favor your right side usually. When you go to your left side, statistically, you have had more sacks than completions in your career. You haven't been as effective. That's what the defense wants you to do. They want you to go ahead and roll to your left, right? So I think a lot of this is Hurts trying to play hero ball when he doesn't need to. And we need Hurts to take care of the football. That's what we need. That's simply what we need. So that's kind of like my thoughts on the offense. But it's just like you have to give Saquon Barkley the ball. Saquon Barkley is your best player. He is. I bet you at the end of the first half, they were in a meeting and the offense was like, if y'all don't give the freaking ball, I was about to cuss. If y'all don't give the freaking ball to Saquon Barkley and let him cook. And that's exactly what they did. And the only thing I can think of is either like Saquon Barkley, just did Kellen Moore dirty, like just backstabbed him. Like, I'm trying to figure out like why isn't this guy like Saquon Barkley? Why don't he like him? Use the man, bro. Use the man. I don't care if they're stacking the box. Saquon Barkley's different. I don't care. I don't care. Jalen is not the best player on the team. It's clearly Saquon Barkley. It's clearly Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is the best offensive player in the league right now with Christian McCaffrey out. Saquon Barkley is the favorite to win Offensive Player of the Year, like I predicted. Let me say this. Vic Fangio has been our best coach as of late. I'll read it out real quick. All the coaches are not performing up to the standard. Vic Fangio showed why he is a Hall of Fame caliber defensive coach. He is. All he needed to do, or all Vic Fangio needed was for his players to show up. That's all he needed. Jaylen Carter showed up. Jordan Davis showed up. Brandon Graham did what Brandon Graham does. Zach Bond was everywhere. His defense showed up. I'm still waiting to see Bryce Huff. But, hey, we'll get into more of the stats. I'll talk about that tomorrow, maybe later on today. But all Vic Fangio needed was for his defense to show up. You got to think, like, against the Falcons, the defensive line could not stop the run with 4 or 5. That's why Ray McCloud got that touchdown on C.J. Gardner-Johnson, because Vic Fangio sent an all-out blitz to get to Kirk Cousins, and then you have Ray McCloud on C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He beats him. C.J. Gardner-Johnson misses a tackle. Now it's a 41-yard touchdown. So Vic Fangio has easily been the Eagles' best coach. Kellen Moore has underperformed based off the weapons that he has. And Nick Sirianni is such a bad coach. I can't win, lose, or draw. He should be fired. They're not going to fire him. I know that they're not going to fire him, but he's not a good coach. He isn't. Clearly, Nick Sirianni hears the whispers. He hears what Philly is saying, that he's not consistent, and he's coaching, trying to prove something instead of honoring the integrity of the game and sticking to what you should do in situational football. Nick Sirianni is looking to, bro. I'm not no Nick Sirianni fan, bro. I feel like if you are a Nick Sirianni fan, you are a Cowboys fan at heart. I don't know why there are still Eagles fans or people defending this man when he has shown time and time again that the Eagles win games in spite of him. In spite of him. It made no sense to go for it on 4th and 1 with 13 seconds in the freaking half. So what happens? You convert a freaking 4th and 1. You're still nowhere near the end zone. So you really expect the Eagles to score a touchdown with 13 seconds left and you aren't even in 1st and goal? Makes no, and you have no points on the board. And then what pissed me off the most is that the time that you should have punted, you went for it on a 60-yard field goal. When it was 2 instances, you should have kicked the damn points. Nick Sirianni is holding the Eagles back from their full potential. If you can't see that, I don't know what to tell you, gang. I don't know what to tell you. But look, ultimately, I still have to give credit to this Eagles defense. I have to. I have to give credit to the Eagles defense. I have to give credit to the Eagles defense. I can't lie to y'all. I did not believe in the Eagles defense. And they did not show me anything up to the Saints game that would be like I should have faith in them. But they showed up. And I got to give Vic Fangio and Jaylen Carter and Jordan Davis and Brandon Graham and Josh Sweat and Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean, I have to give them their credit, and Reed Blankenship. Darius Slay, too, before he got injured. Quinyon Mitchell had a great defensive play on Rashid Shaheed. And it was like, this was one of the most frustrating games I ever watched. But as I look back at it, this might have been one of the best case scenarios for the Eagles to win. What did they show you? When the defense puts their mind to it, they can be top 10. They flat out showed that. When they play up to their potential, they can be a top 10 defense. They also showed you they can keep the offense in the game against a loaded offense. Now, hey, maybe this Saints offense is overrated and they peaked 2 weeks into the season. And so we'll have to see this Eagles defense maybe not hold Tampa to 12 points, but still be able to contain the run, still be able to not give up explosive plays and get to the quarterback. We'll have to see that, back-to-back weeks to see if this is really like a thing that we can trust. But the defense showed us their potential, and Jaylen Carter showed us why he was the 6th overall pick for us and why, he's just one of them guys, bro. He's one of them. Had people asking me, is he really a young superstar? Yeah, he is, bro. Yeah, he is. That's why I was so upset when that stuff leaked on him, because I was like, I don't know how he's going to react when like there's people on the team leaking stuff to reporters. But Jaylen Carter had the best reaction to that. He had the best reaction to the whole leak of him being late to a team meeting. And I got to give him credit. Instead of Jaylen Carter pouting and being like, why did somebody leak that info about me being late on the team meeting? He took that in, said, I need to be better. He took accountability, and then he had his best game of his career. Nobody could stop him. Nobody. It was double teams, triple teams. Nobody could stop that man. Nobody could. He's one of them. He's our best player on defense. When Jaylen Carter plays like our best player on defense, that's when this defense can really surprise some folks, and the Eagles can be a Super Bowl contender. Let me just say this. It's going to be some Eagles fans when I make these reels. They're going to be like, you're switching up. I'm not switching up. You analyze week to week. You analyze week to week, bro. And like, comment, subscribe, bro. Show some love, man. Show some love. Like this up. Show some love. Let's get some more likes on this. But as a journalist, as somebody who, yes, I love the Eagles. I've loved them since I was 9 years old, bro. And I saw Mike Vick and them boys, and I say, yo, this is my team. My dad's a Cowboys fan. I told him, yo, I'm going to be an Eagles fan for life. And since that day, when I was 9 years old, 2010, I was an Eagles fan. You feel me? Yes, I'm a big Eagles fan. But I also owe it to y'all to be objective and to call stuff how I see it. If the defense is putrid and is not able to stop the run, and we just saw Alvin Kamara go berserk on the Cowboys, it's fair to be like, yo, I don't know if this defense can hold up. But the one thing about me that isn't like a lot of these analysts is that they don't know when to go ahead and say, look, I was wrong. And regarding this Saints game, I was wrong about the Eagles defense. Like, this game went the opposite direction that I thought it was going to go. I thought that the offense would have to be in a shootout and they would have to put up points because the defense couldn't stop anybody. But the total opposite happened. The defense was the main reason why we won when the offense wasn't getting any points on the board. So look, I will gladly be wrong if it means this Eagles defense shows up and proves not only me, because I wasn't the only one doubting them, but proving a whole bunch of people wrong. For sure. For sure. The Eagles defense is our security blanket. I want to see them do this in back-to-back weeks. Just like how I overreacted to the Saints a little bit, I overreacted to the Eagles defense being that bad early on. We also have to be objective and say, yo, let's see this defense replicate this. And I'm not expecting them to hold Tampa to 12 points, but I am expecting them to stop the run because the Buccaneers' running attack isn't good. I am expecting them to go ahead and get to the quarterback of Baker Mayfield. I am expecting Jaylen Carter to have back-to-back stellar games. Could somebody comment down below, where's Isaiah Rodgers? Is he not playing? Because normally what I do, like after the game, that's why I read the articles and I do my research and I do more analysis. So then come Monday morning, that's when we go ahead and have like a more detailed analysis of all the numbers and all that stuff. Can somebody tell me where Isaiah Rodgers is at? Because when Darius Slay got out, it was Keely Ringo that was it. I'm confused. Can somebody please? Somebody said Isaiah Rodgers is healthy. He was suspended last season. He's trying to get himself back in swing of things. We all knew he was suspended all last year, but he sat out a year. He's still integrated. He had a whole training camp, all that stuff. He was starting outside corner before he got injured with his hand. He was higher in the depth chart compared to like Keely Ringo. I'm confused as to why he isn't playing. Nick have to do better. That's all I have to say. Facts. No, facts. Facts. Look, bro. The Eagles aren't going to fire Nick Sirianni. As much as I want them to, they're not going to. So all I can do is offer encouragement to Nick Sirianni. Dude, you don't have to prove anything to anyone. You're not Doug Peterson. I'm sorry. You're never going to be Doug Peterson, but you're Nick Sirianni. And this applies to anyone in any profession. Stop trying to be like somebody else. Be you. This isn't even your mantra to go for it on every single time. It really isn't. You would go for on like 4th and 1 in it was like a tush push, but you wouldn't go for it on 4th down every single time. Nick, you don't have to prove nothing. You're a head coach. You're a head coach, dog. You're a head coach for the Philadelphia freaking Eagles. Yeah, I be talking about how you're not a good coach. I'm Miles Johnson, an NYU student that got a podcast. Don't listen to me. Well, now listen to me. But y'all know what I mean. Like, stop listening to other people and do you. And we clearly see, Nick Sirianni, that when you make your calls, you're listening to the whispers. You're listening to other people. Stop. Stop. You're a smart guy. The Eagles don't give you a job if you aren't a smart guy. If you see the offense needs points on the board, it's 3-0. It's 13 seconds at the end of the first half remaining. What's the point of going for on 4? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. This isn't 13 seconds left in the first quarter. It isn't 13 seconds left in the third quarter. It's 13 seconds left in the second quarter. The Saints are praying that you go for it. They're praying you go for it. Because even if you get the first down, what are the chances that you score a touchdown in 10 seconds with one timeout? They're slim. They're slim. But you're trying to prove to other people that you're Doug Peterson, that you're just like Dan Campbell. You're not any of those guys. Be you, gang. Be you. I 100% agree with this. Nick is trying to coach hero games. I will say it again. Nick Sirianni is trying to be the hero coach. Stop trying to be the guy that saves the day. Take the easy points, dog. Just take them. Like, stop trying to make this stuff more difficult than it has to be. And I actually defended your decision to go for it last week on that second drive. I said, yo, put the offense in your hands. Like, let the offense go ahead and go for it on like a 4th and 3 in the red zone. Let them go for it. Because it was the first quarter. It was our second drive of the game. I'm like, you know what? Go for it. I would have said at the end of the Falcons game, go for it. Don't give the ball to the defense that struggled all night. Go for it. But instead, you are inconsistent and you kick a field goal. So I'll say it again. I believe that Nick Sirianni was hearing the talk about he isn't consistent with going for it on 4th down and overcompensated and was like, all right, now it doesn't matter what the situation is. It doesn't matter how the offense is doing. It doesn't matter what the score is. It doesn't matter what time we have in the game. I'm going to go for it because I'm going to prove to everybody that analytics matter and I know what I'm doing and my charts are right. F your charts, dog. F your charts and take the easy points. You playing it like Madden, bro. You're playing the Eagles like they're Madden. Like you can just restart the game. You can't, bro. You can't. And you're playing with my feelings. You're playing with Philly's feelings. You're playing with your players' feelings. Because I bet it's players on that team that are like, why the hell are we not taking the points? I know the defense was pissed off. They had to be. Because, like, dude, we are helping y'all make this an easy game. Take the points. We've been stopping y'all all game. So then, one of my final points, Nick Sirianni going for it on 4th down is disrespectful to his defense. Because it's the defense that is keeping you in the game. I believe if you go for it on 4th down, it is because you don't believe the defense can stop the other team. Because if you did, you would take the points and let your defense go ahead and guard the other team. But no, you want to put the ball in the offense's hands when they've struggled all night and they struggled all afternoon and the defense has been stellar all afternoon. That's disrespectful. Now, look, there was 2 Saints players that collided and Dallas Goedert went off. And so you got let off the hook. But imagine what would have happened if the Eagles lost this game. I mean, it would have been people on Broad Street championing for Nick Sirianni to be fired. And I still believe he should be fired, but we all know he's not going to be fired. But like you're playing with your players' feelings, you're playing with my feelings, you're playing with the people of Philadelphia's feelings, trying to be somebody you are not. All in all, this is what the Eagles do. They build your hopes up, and then they let you down, and they build your hopes up again. It's like a roller coaster. It's like a up and down roller coaster, man. It's like an up and down roller coaster. But I'm happy that we got this win. And this defense showed that this season ain't over and that they have potential to be, at the very least, a top 15 defense in this league. Here's my last point. I know Jalen Hurts is going to get a whole lot of flack for his turnovers. And yes, since 2023, he has led the league in turnovers. And we made fun of Josh Allen and Dak Prescott for their turnovers and being turnover prone. But when it was chips on the line, when A.J. Brown was out, when Devontae Smith was out, Jalen Hurts led a game-winning drive away to win the game when you needed a touchdown. I will say it again. Jalen Hurts is going to get a whole lot of flack for his turnovers, and rightfully so. And he did not play up to par in that first half. But when it really mattered, when it was clutch time, he led a game-winning touchdown drive when you needed a touchdown to win the game. So, yes, the turnovers need to be cleaned up. But we also should praise this man for being down A.J. Brown, for being down Devontae Smith, for being down Lane Johnson, and still delivering. That's why you're paid the big bucks. That's why you're paid 5 years, $255 million. Because when things aren't going your way, you're still a reason why we win. That's my thoughts, man. I'm not going back off Hurts. I still believe in him. I still believe that he can be a top 5 quarterback in this league. He hasn't played like it this season, but I believe that he will show up when he's needed, and he showed up today in New Orleans. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that jazz, man, and let's see the Ravens and Cowboys. Who's going to lose? I'm very happy. We're going to see. Real talk.